Hey folks, so this is going to be the June horoscope again in two parts. I just want to give you guys some highlights before we get into the thick of things. And I'm going to apologize now and explain I'm having a little difficulty focusing and concentrating and trying to not be all sorts of, woe is me, the world is coming to an end. Especially with, the culmination of things that have brought us to the episode in Minnesota, which is just, Jesus, it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. And of course, the problem is this has to have gone on for so long and with such tolerance and support that they had this level of hubris to do this in broad daylight on camera like there was nothing wrong with it. It's been going on that long. Think about that for a second. So, yeah, anyway, I've lost a lot of sleep, a lot more sleep than usual. So this particular video is brought to you because as we head into June, on June 5th, we're under it now. On June 5th, we have an eclipse at 15 Sagittarius. Now this particular eclipse, let me pull my notes. This particular eclipse is happening under the umbrella of some other aspects. So one of the other things that's happening right now is Mercury is out of bounds, which means that all things related to Mercury, which include communications and documents and schedules and travel, man on the street sort of stuff, the common person, transactional things, all these things are literally flying high, wild, and large. So anytime you have a planet that's out of bounds, it becomes exaggerated, like larger than life, right? And I don't mean exaggeration like we're lying, but I mean exaggerate like blown up out of proportion, like takes on a life of its own kind of largesse. So we're under that right now as we're heading into this eclipse. So it's no surprise that we've got Minneapolis blowing up, right? As opposed to, the other event in Georgia or the other one in Texas. I mean, pick a series of events, but this one right now happens to be the one that's blowing up. So this has a lot to do with timing and, of course, divine, divine influence, deciding when and where these things need to happen. In any event, also on June 3rd, Venus will be cazimi. Venus will be in the heart of the sun as we move into this eclipse. So this particular eclipse is not fun. At the time of the eclipse, we've got a Mercury-Uranus major aspect. So I don't even want to say this, but I would expect things to blow up in one way or the other. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that things will physically blow up. Here's the important thing to understand. With Mercury and Uranus, remember, Uranus and Aquarius are it's the truth bringer. It's the sign of truth, the real unvarnished, unsympathetic truth, right? So things under Aquarius, Uranian auspices are exposed, right? And to see the light of day because it's very much about, the real truth underneath all the fabrications and the facades. With Mercury and Uranus together, we can expect more expose or ripping away of the veils that we've been seeing since Saturn went into Aquarius. We're going to see more of it, and maybe even documents that finally get released, right? Some type of paperwork or documents or communications that were never meant to see the light of day that suddenly come out at this time under the eclipse. Now, so when I say explosive, that's what I mean. I don't necessarily mean things are exploded. Good Lord. I mean, anything is possible at this point. Anything is possible. But let's all focus on things we can manage, right? Now, here's why I'm mentioning June 3rd. So June 3rd, a couple days before this, Venus will be cazimi. It will be in the heart of the sun. It will have the most protection. So for those of you who need to get stuff done or need to get important things done or need to start things, this is not a great time to start anything because we're under an eclipse, which means that things will not go as planned. It's like a Mercury retrograde on steroids and cocaine. But June 3rd offers a tremendous amount of protection and also activity. Now, on the same day, June 3rd, we've got Moon Mars and Sun Venus all making strong aspects with each other on the 90-degree dial. And with that said, I would expect this to be a very, very active day. So anything we were expecting or preparing for or promised under the eclipse, I would look to occur around June 3rd. So mark your calendars and keep an eye on that. And of course, as always, please be safe. Please be safe. Do the right thing and be safe. Okay, so this month we've got 2 eclipses occurring, one at the beginning, one at the end. The one later in the month is going to be at 0 Cancer, which is going to be a whopper. Oh my God, the big whopper, baby. It's going to be a whopper of an eclipse because it's at 0 Cancer. When you have planets at 0 degrees cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, they're on what's considered the Aries point. The 0 degree Aries point is a point that brings you in contact with the mundane world in its most primal, like physical expression, right? So typically what we see with 0 degree Aries, the Aries point activation in charts, are things that bring people up into prominence or very, very public eye, because it becomes a strike point or a symbol, an iconic symbol of something else. So whatever it is that you symbolize or represent something much larger than yourself, hence fame. So everybody wants to be famous until they realize it's not what it's cracked up to be. So when the next eclipse occurs later this month at 0 Cancer, we can expect things of major worldwide or significant or large-scale portent to occur. And certainly when that eclipse gets activated, whole new world order, as it were. And I don't mean that in a conspiracy theory way. Although there are certainly those factions and governments right now that would have it if they could get it. Which is where a lot of conflict is coming from, because there's a lot of pushback, because we are not slaves here to do the bidding of the masters. We're humans, and we're here to live and love and enjoy each other. And you can't do that when you're having the whip cracked over your head and, being given the luxury of living as your reward for hard work. Anyway. Okay. So days I want you to watch out for, and like I said, we're going to get into the proper horoscope a little bit later. This is just a quickie to kind of keep you guys getting through the June 5th, June 3rd, June 5th episode, right? Saturn is going to be strong all month long. Saturn is in the freaking house. You thought Saturn in Capricorn was bad? It's got nothing on this. So the thing I want to point out, the difference between Saturn in Capricorn and Saturn in Aquarius is Saturn in Capricorn is a do-it sign, right? Saturn in Capricorn is okay with whatever little lies you need to tell yourself to get the job done, right? They understand that there's a price to be paid and a cost to everything. It's just, and so their whole lives, their whole expression is about measuring the cost of things and the end gain from that, right? Because they're all about maximizing the use of resources, whether it's time, money, or people. They're very much about maximizing the use of resources. And this is where the whole I use keywords come in for Capricorn. So the whole time Saturn was going through Capricorn, it was giving us the opportunity and asking us to re-examine how we utilize our resources, right? Where we invest our time and our energy and, our confidence and all that sort of stuff, and become more DIY, do it yourself, right? Because if you need the job done right, nobody's going to do it better than you. Well, mostly. So the problem, though, is Saturn is now going into Aquarius, and Saturn in Aquarius is more of a mechanical sign. It is an air sign, so it's all about abstract, unsympathetic thought, right? It's all the principle of the thing, kind of like Scorpio, except there's no emotion. There's no emotional value in things. It's all about principles and ideas and high-minded stuff. So if you've ever dealt with people who like to consider themselves hyper-logical, oh well, I'm logical, I'm hyper rational. These people are a pain because they see things in very specific terms, right? Very black or white. There are no gray areas that you're allowed to fall in, and if you do, it's the source of hours of endless debate philosophically. So there's not a lot of feet on the ground, like here and now, sort of attachment between their ideas and how people live, right? Or dealing with people in general, which is why air signs are better with ideas than they are tears, right? with Saturn in Aquarius, it's a weird kind of thing. So on the one hand, Saturn in Aquarius is literally all about the sterling rule or the golden rule, whatever it is, that's about being honest. So Saturn in Aquarius is going to demand a level of honesty and integrity that we have not seen before. And we've seen this ever since Saturn moved into Aquarius. Literally all the veil has been ripped away. Like there's no, listen, if anybody's lying to themselves right now, they're an absolute genius at doing it, because it's virtually impossible for pretty much anybody at this point to lie to themselves, right? Like this is the real deal and there's no escaping what's in front of you. Saturn in Aquarius also is a mechanized sign. So issues as we move through this transit with Saturn in Aquarius, things that we're going to see are a lot more mechanization, right? So for those of you who have been concerned about labor jobs being automated and people losing their jobs to automation, we're going to see this in like huge volume now, and absolutely irrevocably happening moving forward. So science and tech and math, engineering, there was the STEMs, right? All of these things are absolutely critical. We should have been investing in them when Saturn went into Capricorn. Now that Saturn is in Aquarius, the ball is already in motion. We can't take that back. So for those of you who are in positions where you do some type of service or labor job, understand that your fears about being replaced by a robot are real. Okay, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And now is the time to go get the job training or assistance that you need, or lean on the politicians in your area to make those programs available. If you're going to survive this and be relevant and not, scooping up dog poop in parks because that's the only job you can get, you've got to do the work for yourself, right? Saturn in Capricorn was all about doing it for yourself. Now that Saturn's going in Aquarius, all those things are going to go by they've already been in process, but now they're going to become more mechanized and go by the wayside, because Saturn in Aquarius is also about efficiency, right? If managing large groups efficiently, robots are much easier to manage. So these are things you need to be thinking about right now, especially if you live in the United States with the unemployment rate the way it is, because we won't recover from this overnight. And we need to think about the long-term future, like what can we do for our individual selves to make ourselves relevant moving forward. And being relevant moving forward means you're going to have skills. Science, tech, engineering, math. You've got to go back and get that skill set or that information or that education. This is no time to play around, or you will be unceremoniously dumped by the side of the road and left behind at the first opportunity, and there won't be another job to go to, right? Auto plant workers have already seen this happen. So I would listen to them about how this was handled when the robots came in to take their jobs and where they've ended up as a result of this. These things are not new. There's nothing novel here. This already started happening, except now with Saturn and Aquarius, it's going to happen in mass. So lean on the people in power and throw your support responsibly behind people that are invested in making sure you get the jobs and skills and education that you need to keep up in a technological world, because there won't be any menial labor, service labor jobs shortly. We are in the process of being replaced, and they will mostly be gone by the wayside by the time Saturn leaves Aquarius and starts to enter Pisces. Unless you want to be like the global garbage dump, like the Philippines currently is, and parts of India. Like literally, you don't want to be in a junk pile picking rags with your kids because you can't do better. So, yeah, I know, such happy thoughts, right? But there's still time. This is the important part. Right now, you've got time on your hands. You've got plenty of time on your hands. You've got time to think. You've got time to plan. And you've got time to put pressure on the people who help make these policies to protect you and your family and your kids so they have jobs when they're old enough to work and you need them to work. We have the time right now, and we've got the opportunity. Do it. Right? Sitting around complaining about masks. Like, what kind of selfish toddler nonsense is that? Oh my God. That isn't going to get anything done. And honestly, if you're uncomfortable wearing a mask, I just want you to remember, like, how uncomfortable do you think it is for kindergartners to have to do active shooter drills? Okay? We had an opportunity to pass gun laws, and we didn't. And we didn't put enough pressure on them to do it. Right? And now we've got children who have to do active shooter drills in school. But some of y'all are out here complaining because you're uncomfortable wearing a mask that protects everybody from your possibly virally infected breath that would be asymptomatic, because that's why we're wearing masks, because nobody knows who's infected and who's not. Ooh, this world, I swear. Okay, so the good news this month, so you guys know, is Venus will go direct at the end of the month, right about the time that we're heading into the next eclipse. So we will get some relief and things will start moving forward a little less rocky road. We're going to get some cloud break in the storm here for a couple of weeks. Now, remember, August is going to be hell month, right? As if it could possibly get any worse. So this month is challenging. We've got all of these Gemini planets moving through the Pleiadian stars, which are very argumentative, confrontational, tear-inspiring, challenging stars, fixed stars. So it's a dicey month, but we can get through it. And the most important thing is that we can accomplish things this month. In spite of how things appear, we can make major accomplishments with that kind of fuel and energy behind you. But you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to do the work. And then once Venus goes direct, we've also got some really good aspects that are happening as well, and some other nice days through the month. I will get into more of this more specifically in the next video, because this thing in Minneapolis, after everything else in Georgia and Texas and and the pandemic and yada yada yada, I'm just unglued at this point, and I'm sure you are too. So for those of you who are interested, I am doing a series of articles on racism and this whole Minneapolis event and the astrology of it and what it can tell us. So that is going to be on my blog page for those of you who are interested. For those of you who aren't, you don't have to listen because I won't put it here. And also we'll be discussing more of this and some other things about the month in more specific detail on the podcast. And for those of you who want to ask questions and learn a little bit and be able to do a little back and forth exchange with me, you can subscribe to my Patreon page, $1 a month. And I do Q&A specifically for the patrons there. Otherwise, I'm not really available to answer questions these days. And I guess that's it. So hang in there. Hang in there. Do the right thing. And remember, as bad as things are now, we can accomplish a lot this month. But you're going to have to do the work. And stem. Saturn has moved in Aquarius. We've lost time and ground horsing around with Saturn in Capricorn. Now Saturn's in Aquarius and the race is on. So you got to think. You've got to think. All right. Talk to you guys later.